All right, we're here at the Reptilian Nation in Sandy, Utah. So let's have you introduce yourself, name of your business, tell us where you're from.
So my name is Weston Wenner. I own WILDFIRE RETICS. There. I live in Park City, Utah. So this is a local show for me. And I am mainly a collector and breeder of reticulated pythons.
So the obvious question with retics, size. What's your customer base like? I had a chance to talk to you earlier, and you were saying you sell about a dozen of these here in Utah every year.
Yeah, I mean, it varies. It definitely varies. Who knows? Depending on the size of this show, I could sell a dozen this weekend. It just depends. But in terms of my customer, it really varies. I get people that are literally just looking for a pet. I get ball python and boa breeders that are looking for a garbage disposal, for the rest of their animals. So it's really varied, and of course always other breeders and just other collectors. But the retic market within the reptile industry is probably one of the smallest niches, I would say, next to like venomous keeping.
Right. One thing I hadn't really thought a lot of, but you being in Park City, known for being a winter town.
Yes.
Do these brumate?
They do not.
I didn't think so.
They do not brumate, so they breed in the fall. That's breeding season. But yeah, it's fortunately I've got the shop that you saw, and it's all heated and everything else, so it works. But it's unfortunate because I can only take them outside like 3-4 months a year.
Interesting.
So that's the one downfall of living up high in the mountains.
We'll let Jason hold this one here. What I love about these guys, particularly when they're young, those smooth scales, they just feel like velvet.
Yeah. Yep.
It's so unique.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about retics, but like I've always admired them. And I noticed these albinos and stuff that they just pop those colors. How many color morphs, single strains, are there in the retic?
Offhand, I really don't know.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm holding in my hand, this is a purple albino. There's 3 phases of albino. There's purple, there's white, and then there's lavender. Lavender technically is just a mix of white and purple.
Okay.
But that's just one type. That's just the Clark strain albino. Then there's the Amel phase. Then there's caramel. I really don't know what.
So there's quite a bit.
There's a
going
lot.
on.
There's
That's
a
awesome.
lot of morphs with it. Not nearly as many as ball pythons for sure, but there's a lot of color morphs.
So you got a lot to play with and
Yes.
work with.
Yes.
And do you create anything new, like as far as color morphs go? Do you ever pop out something brand new?
So color morphs, not necessarily, but combinations.
That's
yes.
what I meant.
So I've made a few
Color
worlds first. Made some back in 2018. They were platinum, motley, golden child, and Noshinos. So mouthful. But yeah, I made a couple of those back in 2018. There's been a few others that I've made along the way. But again, it's not that the color's new. It's just the combination.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Some new combinations, that haven't been done before. So that's kind of fun to break ground on something brand new, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, it's always interesting, right? I mean, as a breeder, it's always, kind of rewarding to especially if you're dealing with pets or possets, things like that, and you hatch something out and you're like, oh, awesome. And that actually, with that clutch, it was my female diamond. At that time, I knew she was possible pet for albino, but I didn't know. That was her first pairing. So then it proved out. So yeah, it's always super cool when stuff like that happens.
Awesome.
What do you want people to know about retics, or is there a myth you want to bust?
There's a lot of myths about retics, and I try to bust them at every show that I'm here because I get it a lot. I hear they're mean. There's no reptile technically that's mean. They're afraid of it. And retics are no different. Just because they become an apex predator, when they're this size, they think everything is a threat. And it's all about teaching them that we're not a threat and just working with them and letting the snake build that trust, just like any other animal. It's no different than having a big dog, really. And again, same thing I tell people, if you're gonna get a retic, get a baby. Don't go out and buy a subadult and try to, jump your way ahead. Because all it's going to
Wrestle
happen,
with it.
well, all it's going to happen is, that snake doesn't know you, you don't know it. You're going to go to reach into its cage, and it's 10, 12 feet long, and it strikes at you. Now you're afraid of it, right? Whereas this, you're not afraid of this.
Right.
So,
A
yeah,
little
that's
dollar sign there.
That's what I was just going to say, the dollar sign right there on the neck.
Yep.
Money.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Weston, we appreciate your time.
Hey, absolutely. Good to
Thank
see
you
you guys.
very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Great looking at it.